Well, I've done the pacing for a good number of years, and the whole philosophy of being able to help people really excites me. It's what we do in our local running club, so pacing takes it actually onto the course. So the whole idea of writing the book came about when I figured, boy, I'm starting the race with a lot of people and finishing the race with slightly less, or hopefully a couple of folks stay with me the whole marathon. And boy, if I could get them to understand a couple of good tips and tricks and hints and do's and don'ts before the race that they could practice in the weeks or even months leading up to it, then if they come and run with a pacer, I really like their chances. I'm Dave Masterson from Palm Beach Gardens, Florida.
Amazing. So you've come from the warmer weather to here in Boston. How does it feel to be in Boston for the marathon this weekend?
Oh, it's terrific. It's an excitement. I call it runner's Christmas because everything you do in the lead up and build up to the race and the expo and meeting your friends from all over the country, it's all part of the Boston Marathon experience.
Absolutely. It's an atmosphere like no other.
True.
And I read an article this morning that I'm going to go into a moment, but because of that, I assume this is not your first Boston Marathon. How many have you ran?
This will be my 7th Boston Marathon.
7th Boston Marathon, wow. And how many marathons have you ran altogether?
I think it's 73 or 74.
Incredible. If you don't mind me asking, what is your age?
I am 61.
61. And when did you start running?
I started running at age 36.
36, okay. Yes. So not even like super young. How have you come about running so many marathons?
I did my first one, let's see, I think I was 39 when I did my first one, and it's such a compelling thing to continue, training for it and being with a pack of other like-minded runners in our community that are training for this one or that one, and then you include the travel element, and it just becomes something very fun and healthy to do.
That is incredible, and so I can see why there might be this article about you. It's in Runner's World, so that's a pretty big deal. Would you mind telling the people who are listening, how come you were in the Runner's World article last week?
Yes, I have the publishing of an upcoming book. It's called Marathon 101, and its purpose is to let folks know about the experience of running with a pace team leader. So many races have, for free, the option of running with a pace team, which would be an individual that's committed to running and finishing that race in a certain time. So let's say you are looking to finish the race in 4 hours and 15 minutes. You would look for the person before the race who has a flag or a penny that says, I'm going to finish in 4 hours and 15 minutes, and they're going to guide you through the course almost like a coach or a valet.
Yeah, and I know from personal experience, running with a pacer, it's amazing. Like, it can really make or break your race if you have a good pacer. We'll go into that a little bit more in a moment, but let me say then, congratulations on having this book coming out. When does it come out, and where could people buy it?
It'll be released on June 16th. It'll be on Amazon and in many retail locations, as they say, wherever fine books are sold.
Perfect. I'm definitely going to purchase it, but I'm going to wait until I next come across you at a race and have you sign it, if that's okay.
Okay, certainly.
And what makes you in a position to write such a book and talk about pacing?
Well, I've done the pacing for a good number of years, and the whole philosophy of being able to help people really excites me. It's what we do in our local running club, so pacing takes it actually onto the course. So the whole idea of writing the book came about when I figured, boy, I'm starting the race with a lot of people and finishing the race with slightly less, or hopefully a couple of folks stay with me the whole marathon. And boy, if I could get them to understand a couple of good tips and tricks and hints and do's and don'ts before the race that they could practice in the weeks or even months leading up to it, then if they come and run with a pacer, I really like their chances.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I'm a testament for that. I ran with a pacer to run my first ever sub 3 hour marathon, and I think that played a huge role. I think it kept my heart rate low. And I think there's probably many people out there that have ran with a pacer and found the benefits of them. But I've also had an experience before where I started running with a pacer, and I found that they went out a bit hot, a bit faster than I was expected, and I was finding it tough to keep up with them. So they wasn't going out an even pace. What would you recommend to someone if they were in that position? They wanted to run with a pacer, but they found that maybe the pacer was actually going faster than the planned pace.
It's not something we ever advise. I'm part of a real pacing team that it has discipline. We look to run even pacing at all times. Our first role is safety related, so we're all CPR certified. But the whole premise of helping the athletes includes helping them avoid one of the biggest mistakes folks make in a marathon, which is grabbing the excitement of the day once that start gun goes off and starting out too quickly. Knowing that you need to conserve that energy to when you really need it in those later miles is one of the big benefits of running with a pace team leader.
Absolutely. And also I've seen at the really big races, especially these marathon majors, but where you have the pacers, there's a huge group of people that are running with the pacers, so it can be quite difficult to get close to them. What would you recommend someone does in that situation? Try to get close to them, or is it okay to also just stay back but stay near that crowd?
Yeah, I think knowing that the pacers are going to finish on time as advertised, all you have to do is be near them, be within sight. I say to my folks, hey, later in the race, if you stop and, just take a second to, down a glass of water or take a gel and stuff like that, don't worry. As long as you have us in sight, you're going to finish in a good time. Because think about it, you really... you got people on the outside, you got people who run right next to you, right next to your shoulder for the whole race, which is wonderful. And sometimes they're talkative, sometimes they just want to hear us, speak and tell them where they are in the course. But as long as you can stay within eyesight of your pacer, you're usually in a pretty good position to finish at that goal time.
Yeah, but I think that's a really good point. Sometimes hearing the voice of the pacer as well can really motivate you in those dark places. Yes. So no, that's a really good point if you can get close. Then we have marathons like Boston. It's unique for many reasons, but one of the reasons is there are no pacers or no official pacers. And it's quite a tough course. There's hills, so you need to have a bit of a pacing strategy. So where someone like me, I'm running on Monday, there's no pacer for me to follow. What kind of tips would you give someone in a race like this where there is no pacer? Any pacing strategy tips in general that someone can try?
Yeah, I would believe the long-held belief that Boston really rewards the runners who save their energy. The front of Boston, the first 5 miles, 6 miles, is a big net downhill. And so you're feeling good, you're seeing the people in front of you with all their flags and, running this for my mom and all this motivational stuff, and you get very excited. But really, if you can bottle up that energy and save it for the hills that come between miles 17 and 21, once you get to the top of the famous Heartbreak Hill at mile 21, it is a net downhill to the finish line. And so if you can save your energy for that last 5 miles is going to be magical.
Wow, yeah, I look forward to that, and hopefully I'm still feeling good. I'll follow that advice. But for you, what is your target tomorrow? Would you mind sharing if you have a target, or you're just going out to have fun?
No, I'm going out. I've trained pretty well in our warmer temperatures over the winter months. So we had the luxury of some cooler days. I'd like to finish between like 3:15 and 3:20. I think would be a great race for me.
That's good to know. And which wave are you in?
I'm in the new green wave. It's wave 5.
Green 5, okay. Because I'm thinking about maybe running around that kind of pace as well, but I also want to have fun. So if I see you out there, I might use you as a pacer if that's okay.
Very good. Corral 1 of the green wave. So
okay.
This is a new thing.
No, that sounds great. Have you run any of the other majors?
Yes, I'm a 6-star finisher.
Wow, congratulations.
So I've run all of those. I finished up in Tokyo, I think it was 2024, which was a great way to finish it because what a spectacular race and country and culture that is. But I'm also lined up to do Sydney this August. So now you have to chase, soon to be 9 stars. So I'll have...
That is true.
With a good race in Sydney, I'll have 7 of them.
Yeah, I actually got my 7th last year in Sydney. But I do plan to add the 8th when it's, I think, Cape Town, and then the 9th when it's Shanghai. Will you be doing those two?
Yes, I want to.
Great, then I'm glad I've met you because I would definitely like to stay in touch and follow your journey.
Please do.
If other people would like to follow your journey, where could they find you? Do you have a social media or anything like that?
Yes, I do have an Instagram account that I've used. I'm going to probably create something else, to map up with the book Marathon 101. But my Instagram handle is at Dave Dave Run RUN. The number 4 and the word fun. Dave Run for Fun. Perfect. On Instagram.
I can add that also to the description.
Oh, thank you.
You obviously have a lot of experience, which is why you are a pacer. But have you ever invested yourself in having a coach, or have you always been self-coached?
No, I've usually done the self-coaching, but I'm so immersed in the culture of running that I'm so well read on it. I really hope to, take the latest tips, tricks, and things like that. And we have such a great supportive group. I'm a member of the Palm Beach Road Runners, which is a sizable and, long-standing group in our area. So we have so many better runners to train with and newer runners to help lift up the ladder. So I've kind of centered my activity on doing the pacing and, staying with our group and training accordingly.
Yeah, and it seems you have that huge group, that really big community. So let me ask you, because looking at the world we're in now, the world is changing with technology. If someone did want to invest in a coach, what do you think would be better? A human coach or an AI coach, now that there's a lot of sort of AI tools out there?
I haven't used the AI tools. I have some friends who have done it, and results are mixed. Some of them said it was good. I would really prefer the insight of dealing with a human coach, because there's so much more you can learn over and above just the facts of running and the recommended workouts. I think the human coach bringing personal experience to their athletes is really a benefit.
Cool. And one thing that I think some people might be thinking about, I would consider it in the future, is if someone wanted to become a pacer, what advice would you give them, and how does it work? So if someone wanted to pace a group of 4-hour finishers, how fast do you need to be as a pacer to sort of be a safe bet for them? So, someone can't say, okay, my personal best is 4 hours and I want to be a pacer for 4 hours, because you can't guarantee that group. So,
right.
What advice would you have for someone who wants to become a pacer?
The best advice for that is, have completed a bunch of marathons to where you're comfortable completing the distance. And then what we usually find on the pace team that I'm involved with is the folks are usually a half an hour or better beyond their personal best. So if that 4-hour pacer is probably someone who can run a 3:30 or better, and we have pacers all the way up to 6 and 7 hours that include the Jeff Galloway method of run walk. But you want it to be a comfortable experience where when you're really run coaching on the run, that you're not straining yourself to complete the event.
Yeah, that's a good point. So having actually some coaching skills as well helps along the race.
Right, being able to tell people notable points on the course. Here, there are some famous things we're going to see, but hey, here comes a water stop. I see Gatorade first and water second. I see some restroom porta potties coming up. We have a hill coming up as soon as we make the next turn. You don't see it yet, but let's get ready for it. Things like that.
Yeah, amazing stuff. Well, I don't want to keep you for too much longer, but one very final question. If there's I think from your book, it sounds like there's going to be so many lessons learned for people. It's very beneficial, worth them having a look at that. If there was one lesson you would pick from the book that someone's going to learn from reading it, what would that be?
I would say just be comfortable with running with a pace team leader. A lot of folks, they don't understand what it is. I think the first understanding is that it's free of charge. So most races provide these pacers, so it's not an extra cost to you. You don't have to make a reservation weeks in advance to run with a pace team leader. And understand that short of running the race for you, running with a pacer is going to enable you to reach a higher level of achievement, because you've got a valet coach right next to you.
Yep, great advice. Thank you so much. I recommend people go out and buy that book when it's released in June. I also recommend they check out your article in Runner's World. Thank you so much. I wish you all the best of luck tomorrow, and I'll be looking out for you on the course. Thank you for talking to URTV.
Thank you, Adam.